Sean Myers of the Westmoreland Sports Network, now joined by the head coach of the Belle Vernon area Leopards baseball team, Tony Watson, as his team is the top seed in the Class 4A bracket. And first off, Tony, congrats. That's a big time accomplishment. I don't know that many people, maybe outside of your locker room or your dugout, expected that heading into the season. But now that it's come to fruition, how do you evaluate the success of the regular season and what it means for you and for this entire program?
It's just a testament to the hard work these kids put in, all winter, fall ball and, leading up to the season. And, we just took things one game at a time and, uh, the kids came together and things started to click early on. And, we've been very fortunate.
13 wins overall. You go 9-1 in the section, and you won the section in dramatic fashion. You had to beat Greater Latrobe twice to conclude section play, and you did so, both games coming down to the wire. I would imagine that was a bit of an emotional roller coaster, but what stood out about your team's performance against the Wildcats?
Guts. They just showed a lot of guts and a lot of composure, and they battled, each at bat, every pitch. I couldn't have been more proud of them. It was the longest 3 days of my life. But you know, Latrobe, hats off to them. They were very, very tough. You make an error, you make a mistake, they're going to capitalize on it, and they did. And fortunately, we just got a few more timely hits than they did.
I was on the call of that first game, the marathon game at Greater Latrobe. And obviously, one thing that stood out was you've got several great pitchers. And we know all season it was Judy, it was Lee, it was Lind. Those three guys, it feels like each and every time you put them on the mound, you're going to have a chance. So has that been the best attribute of this year's team, is that you have some dominant pitching?
Certainly. Especially with back to back, section games every week. If you don't have a good 1-2 and even a 1-2-3 punch, you're not going to get very far. And they gave us a lot of innings, kept their pitch counts down, and they just all three did an outstanding job.
Who are some of the other guys that really stand out? I know statistically Adam Lecard is kind of the leader in terms of the offense, but who are some other guys that maybe don't get as much credit that have been instrumental in this success?
If one name that pops into my head right away is Austin Hoffman, our shortstop. He stepped into that role when we needed somebody to shore up the middle infield this season, and he was outstanding defensively. The offensive numbers don't necessarily reflect that for him, but he's the glue. He's the glue that holds the infield together.
Well, your reward for a great regular season and a section title is the number one seed in the entire 4A bracket. That's a big accomplishment. How did that align with what your expectations were heading into the bracket release?
Honestly, we just wanted to. Our initial goal after last season was number one, to make the playoffs, number two, win the section, and number three, make a deep run into the playoffs. So, we were all proud of it. Like you said, in our locker room, we had that belief, since last season ended. We were confident that we could be a good team and a competitive team this year that can make a little noise if we get into the playoffs. And, certainly that came to fruition. And, we can't rest on our past laurels. We're just looking to move forward and, take it one game at a time.
I'm sure every team in 4A wishes they were the number one seed. That said, just watching how the bracket played out last year, there was a lot of upsets. There were some underdogs that made deep runs. So being number one certainly does not guarantee you an easy path. But how do you think the bracket does align for what your goals are?
Honestly, looking at Blackhawk in the first round, that team's coached well. Coach Lou does a great job with them. And Blackhawk set the standard at 4A decades ago, as far as baseball goes. So, we've kept a close watch on them, but certainly, in my opinion, they're higher than a 16 seed. They had a very tough section they're coming out of, and they might have had a down year, but you could never write them off. Which is why the playoffs, you just kind of throw all the numbers out the window and start from scratch.
I know you had a game scheduled against Blackhawk this season, but ultimately had to be postponed due to some other scheduling issues. So now you get a chance at them. What will be the biggest key to succeed and to move on in this tournament?
I think just to have good at bats. You know, the mental approach of hitting is difficult, as everyone knows, and especially against a team that has a couple stud pitchers like Blackhawk. You got to work the count, but you also have to be aggressive and can't let good pitches go by. So I think that's the key is getting guys on base, moving runners over, doing whatever it takes, small ball. Just being unselfish.
You'll be going against the Cougars out at Boys Mayview Park on Wednesday. So I know there's going to be some anxiety, some nerves heading into that game. But how much of a benefit is it for you to have so many guys who are part of a state championship winning football program the last couple of years that have been through the postseason before and know what to expect?
They bring that winning mentality and pedigree. You know, some of these guys are some of these seniors are the most decorated athletes in our school history, to be honest with you, with two WPIAL championships and two state championships, and I think it was contagious this year with this group of baseball players because they brought that over with them. It rubbed off on some of the guys that are more specialized to playing only baseball, and it clicked. It just worked for us, and kudos to Matt Humbert, our head football coach, for instilling that in these guys because it has trickled down to all the other sports in our district.
Well, Tony, congrats on the regular season success, the section title, and the number one seed, and hopefully it will continue to click for your team in the postseason as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Sean.